What's up, YouTube family? Welcome to a new video. If this is your first time stopping by, hello, my name is Sade. Happy to have you here. If you clicked on this video today, you're likely a beginner YouTuber such as myself, perhaps with a newer, smaller channel looking to hone your skills on this platform. Or maybe you're not even on YouTube and just YouTube curious and looking for some inspiration or some guidance perhaps on how to get started. Either way, I'm really glad that you're here, you're in the right place. So let's get into this video. So my goal for this video is to show you a bit of the process of how I get from an idea to a final product. Again, I'm a beginner on YouTube with a smaller channel, but given the trajectory of my channel in these last few months, I'm really proud at how my channel has grown, and I'd like to attribute that to the things that we'll discuss here in this video. I'll also disclaim that there is no wrong or right way to create, right? Because that would be silly. These are not end-all be-all tips, so take them with a grain of salt, yes, but if you can take away something valuable, that would just make me so happy. But on this platform, I really think that it's important to continue learning as much as you can, even if you're one of those senior 10-year plus YouTubers with millions of followers, you can never stop getting better at your craft. And that really applies to any endeavor that you choose in life. And especially if you want to pursue a career as a YouTuber full time and take this hobby, what I call my hobby for now, a little bit more seriously so that it ends up manifesting hopefully into something greater. Now I say this while also acknowledging that there are some people who just have really awesome personalities that viewers find really compelling and are capable of just going viral with what appears to be little to no effort. So it's definitely possible. Now I say appears because I feel pretty confident that even with those people who leverage, their innate gifts, that is their vibrant personalities to this platform, I still think that they really work hard on their craft. And that is something that you should aspire to want to do as well. Personally, I would not categorize myself as one of those people, unfortunately. Rather, I'm a bit more methodical when it comes to my YouTube channel. And what I mean by that is I try to plan as much as possible. Typically on my channel, I post videos of my experiences while traveling, which is such a great privilege and something I'm immensely grateful for. I initially got started with this channel as a way to, as millions of other people do, document travel and experiences that I was having, mostly for the viewership of my friends and my family, while my husband, who serves in the military, and I were stationed overseas for a number of years. And so when I look back at those videos, y'all, they're trash. They're not very good, unfortunately, in terms of video production and storytelling quality. I'm admitting that straight off the bat, but I have to say, when I do look back at those videos, it is something that I'm still really proud of, something that I can say I've created and kind of put out into the universe. And I'll touch more on that later. But for now, let's jump into how I create my video step-by-step process from the top. Probably like you, I watch a lot of YouTube. It is my favorite platform out of all of the platforms or streaming platforms that are out there. And I watch a lot of different content creators of varying channel sizes, big and small alike. And it can range from just pure entertainment and fun and feel-good content to learning about a new topic or even learning how to do something, anything, how to change a tire. I've done that. But one thing is for sure is that I am generally inspired by people who just put themselves out there, for the sake of creating something. Hopefully something positive, but that is their own body of work. And in watching a lot of these videos, I oftentimes feel inspired by something. You kind of like a light that a match that kind of lights up in my soul, or, one of those light bulb moments, if you will, about a topic or an idea. Well, the first place that I go when I have one of these moments is to my phone, and I will jot it down in my notes app. There's really no formatting to this app. to my notes, to be honest. I kind of use it more or less like a digital junk drawer, if you will. Just kind of whatever comes to my brain, I just kind of dump it in there. Now, maybe it doesn't mean that I'll act on it right away, but a time will come, and this has happened, inevitably, where you're just not feeling all that inspired or motivated to talk about anything. Or maybe you're perhaps having a little bit of a creator's block. But luckily, you'll have this repository of ideas and things that interest you that you may want to eventually make a YouTube video about, and then you'll go back to that list for inspiration. Now, another place that I get a lot of my inspiration and ideas on YouTube is by reading. Over the past 5 years, I'd say I've become quite an avid reader, mostly on the Audible app. And lately I've been reading a lot of books about personal growth and self-help and just feel-good books because, I guess the concept of trying to better myself or improve my mental health, makes me feel really inspired. Anyway, so from there, I'm oftentimes so hyped about the messages that I am receiving from these books that I just feel like I want to share it with the world. So I'll oftentimes incorporate a lot of those messages from those books into my YouTube videos. Lastly, life will kind of naturally give you ideas as you're doing normal things, hanging out with your friends and family, maybe going on a camping trip or decorating for the holidays. It really does not matter. Documenting your life can be a really beautiful thing to look back on. And because you are special and you are unique and you have your own set of gifts, those ideas will just naturally come flowing. And then I recommend go back to that notes app and jot them down somewhere, and you'll quickly find that, just by being open and aware to things, ideas will just come naturally flowing in to the point where eventually you'll be overflowing with ideas, enough to plan out content for the entire calendar year, which is something that I've started doing with my channel. So earlier this year, I told myself that I wanted to be consistent with my YouTube. You hear it all the time. Any video that you watch on this topic, you'll always hear the content creators say, consistency is key for growth on YouTube, right? And they're right. So back in March, I decided that I would set a target for myself. 3 videos a month, releasing them every 10 days, which in my mind would give me enough time to kind of balance, this hobby that is YouTube and my corporate job responsibilities, because I still do work full time. So I figured 10 days would give me enough time to kind of schedule, to plan, to prep, to shoot, to edit, and then hit the publish button, right? And so to keep myself organized, I decided I would create this Excel sheet where I could try and plan out the entire calendar year. Of course, things change, things come up. There's really no way to kind of look into the future like that. But more importantly, what I felt like this sheet does is just to keep me motivated and continually looking forward to and preparing for what's next. Kind of an outlook of how I can keep the momentum going. And without it, to be honest, I feel like I probably would have given up by now. And to show you all, since March, my channel has slowly seen improvement of about 20,000 or so views just within these last 6 to 7 months, which is just around when I began to kind of take my YouTube channel seriously. Now, compare that to the 20,000 views that I had received in all of 2023. So as it stands today, I'm on track of doubling my viewership in this new year. And I've even managed to kind of triple the trend of my subscriber count in these last 6 to 7 months as well. Again, comparing that to all of the subscribers I had attained in 2023. So yes, progress might be slow, but I am really, really proud of myself to see that the time that I'm putting into honing my skills is really paying off. And I also think the benefit of being a smaller channel and having, smaller but progressive growth is giving me an opportunity to make adjustments where needed and continually having these kind of lesson learned self-evaluations so that I can improve, which, we should all strive to always do. And first, first, if you guys see me glancing over every now and then, I do have my notes here on the screen in front of me. There's a lot of information I wanted to share, none of which I could ever remember all in one take, so just bear with me. But anyways, let's keep going. So now that we have our idea, it is time to plan. What I want you guys to do is picture an iceberg, you know, kind of what you see breaking the shoreline. Doesn't really compare to the massive block of ice that kind of lives beneath the surface, right? Yes, making a video can be as easy as pulling out your iPhone and just hitting the record button, obviously. But however, what I do think will set you apart, especially if you're like me, you know, a beginner, still working a full-time corporate job with limited time really to dedicate to this extracurricular activity that I call YouTube, is planning out your video. Planning, you guys, will be your best friend. So to keep with that iceberg analogy, if the tip of the iceberg represents your video, kind of what people actually see when you hit publish, what's hidden underneath the surface, generally the largest chunk of the iceberg, is all of your pre-planning work. Before I even get to pressing the record button on my camera or my phone or whatever it is that I'm using, most of my work to create the video goes into kind of this pre-production phase, which I liken to the chunk of iceberg that you can't see below the ocean surface, right? I have an idea, now what? First things first, if it makes sense, I try and do a little bit of research in that topic or place or whatever it is that I plan to talk about generally. I'm also thinking about titles and thumbnails. I use a platform currently called Headline Studio to analyze titles that I am considering and whether or not they are search engine optimized, or SEO for short, which I'm sure you guys have heard. But if you haven't, SEO is just a fancy word for saying the title of your videos is properly named in a way so that it ranks higher in the search engines such as Google and or the YouTube algorithms, right? So you have an idea for your title. I plug it into Headline Studio, and then it will give me kind of this analysis on whether or not it's a good headline that is search engine optimized and has the potential of ranking higher in search algorithms. So as an example, I did a video a number of years ago now about a topic, but particularly I think it was the title and thumbnail that really has allowed it to rank fairly high on Google, I'd say, which is ideal, right? So as you can see here, this video is currently ranked 4th, which has allowed it to garner a lot more views, which thank you to everyone who has watched it, for people looking into or interested in that particular topic, right? Now, what if you're not sure kind of where to start with your title, which happens a lot? So generally what I'll do is I'll just do a basic generic search on Google, you know, for videos that are already out there that have similar topic or similar discussions as my video. That kind of helps me generally get an idea of what I should title my video as, and I'll just tailor it, you know, as appropriate, right? Because not every video is the same, even though we're kind of largely talking about similar topics. What I like about Headline as well is that Headline has this kind of AI feature that will help to give you some ideas of titles that you can use, which can be very helpful. So you can kind of analyze these titles and they'll kind of give you the breakdown, especially of how they compare with other videos already out there found on Google and YouTube and other places. For my thumbnails, to switch gears, I use a platform called Canva, which you also might be familiar with. I believe Canva has a free version. However, like Headline Studio, I am actually subscribed to both Headline and Canva because, especially for Canva, I wanted to be able to have access to all of the capabilities on the platform, right? And I wanted to also have access to the thousands, literally thousands of different templates that they have on Canva, beautiful templates, which, you know, makes my life easier because your girl don't got time. I'm working full time. My time is limited, so it takes more time, you know, creating this appealing template on my own than if I just used one of the many beautiful templates already up on Canva. So I would definitely look into that. They do have a free version, I believe. And I believe Headline does as well. And so your thumbnail can sometimes, you know, just to put a pin in this, your thumbnail can sometimes be a lot more crucial than the content of your actual video itself, unfortunately. In terms of, what YouTube analyzes as your impressions click-through rate. That metric is something that YouTube uses to kind of analyze how viewers who are just scrolling through their home feed and they receive a registered impression of your video and how often they click on it or not. So basically, again, a viewer is scrolling through their home feed and they see your title and your thumbnail, and hopefully it catches their eye, right? That's the goal. And enough for them to entice him or her to click on that video, and then that metric is being captured there. And the higher that percentage number, the better. Most of the time, I think that number is largely attributed to putting a lot of thought into your title and thumbnail. I've heard content creators say, it's best to think about these things before you start your video, while you're recording it. Don't wait until the last 5 minutes before you hit publish. I mean, I've done it all each kind of ways and I've had varying results. But I do, now that I'm putting a lot more effort into my YouTube channel, I do try and think through that process. Maybe not have it completely created before I even start my YouTube video, but have an idea of what I want it to look like based on a little bit of research that I've done, I think will be really helpful. Now, again, because you are unique, wonderful, amazing people with great personalities, is not to say that you can't just use the YouTube thumbnail that is, default generated by YouTube, name it something that just pops into your mind and then the video goes viral, okay? It is definitely possible. But I find that if you're a smaller channel growing like mine, it's just not that simple, y'all. I wish it were, but it ain't. Now, creators with larger, loyal audiences can certainly get away with that. But if you want the algorithms to pick up your video, especially when you only have a little over 1,000 plus subscribers like I do, I find that you have to be a little bit more strategic with your planning and research. Some smart content creators even have more than one thumbnail planned out. I've seen them post their videos and then like 15 minutes, I'd see that same video come by my feed with a different thumbnail. It's really interesting. It's insane. I don't have time to do all of that, unfortunately, but that is something that you can definitely incorporate into your channel. Now, once a viewer has clicked on your video, this is when I'm thinking, what is it about this topic that is so interesting to me that I want to be able to share it with the world and keep the viewer watching, right? And keep them engaged. I personally try to always do a little bit of research on the topics as well as trends. Because for example, we're in September now, we're rolling into the autumn months. Viewers are watching more fall videos. So maybe I can consider doing something of that nature or related to that topic. I mean, a lot of these trends information, which is really nice, is you can find them in your YouTube Studio app on what is kind of trending at the moment. And looking into these trends kind of inform me of what people are interested in and what a lot of my viewers are watching at this time as well. Now, on these various topics, I don't do like a scholarly level of research, but I do try to do enough to know what the hell I'm talking about, because as we all know, there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I try and be cognizant of that, and I value my viewers so much so that I don't want to be feeding them a bunch of bullshit on my channel, because there's enough of that, okay, out there on the internet. So if I'm traveling, for example, to Amsterdam, shout out to my Amsterdam video here in this corner, click on it if you haven't watched it yet. And I know that I'm gonna be filming a vlog, and I know specifically that I'm gonna be visiting the Anne Frank house, let's say, right? What is it about that activity that I want to share with the audience, that I want them to know? What is important or significant about that place that I think people, viewers watching, will find interesting? And lastly, what kind of experience, do I want the audience to have? Because, YouTube at its core is entertainment. So I still kind of want to make the video, if that's the thing that I'm going for, enjoyable as well. I try to answer all of these questions in my research in advance. while also informing myself above all else in the first place, right? And you know, when I'm traveling, for me, it makes that experience that much more special. When I already know the purpose for visiting a specific place, especially one as important in history as Anne Frank's house, to liken back to the example that I just gave. So now, there is a caveat, you know, for travel videos, if I know I intend to visit a place, then in my opinion, you know, a little bit of research is warranted. However, I have been on trips where, like when I visited Thailand last year with my family, those trips are a little bit more fluid, right? We're just having fun, nothing too serious, not much thinking going on, and we're all just kind of going with the flow. With those types of spontaneous videos, you know, those are awesome and fun to do as well. And what I will tell you from my experience is that the more videos that you produce, and of course, I'm still learning, you know, the better you'll get at kind of adjusting and finding your flow and style when you're on a spontaneous trip. Hopefully the goal is for those spontaneous videos where plans tend to be a little bit more fluid, what will be in the forefront of your mind is how would any given moment that you're experiencing on your trip materialize in a post-production setting? Like, for example, the final edit. What it looks like when you put the video together, essentially. So you want to constantly be asking yourself that question and kind of guiding this very fluid content, this trip or experience that you having into how can I capture this moment so that one, it works in a final edit, and two, kind of provides a sense of storytelling for the audience to be able to follow along, and that the viewer will hopefully still feel engaged, find entertaining, and want to stick around, right, for the entire video. So in doing some of that pre-production, you'll hopefully be thinking about these things, and I think it will set you apart from 90% of the other YouTubers who are posting videos on here just casually and doing great, you know, good for them. But I do overall think that a little bit of planning has made me a better content creator. So now that we're armed with tons of research and we're feeling a little bit more confident about our video that we're putting out into the world, right? I like to also plan out my shots. Of course, things change. You know, we're going on these trips. You can't always expect everything to go perfectly to plan because we're not pretending to be like, you know, some major studio filming, you know, a feature film or anything like that. But I tend to already kind of have a loose vision of what I want my video to look like. And my research has informed me of that process. I've already done the research on the places that I want to see, what types of shots it is that I'm looking to get. You know, some more advanced cinematic content creators will actually storyboard and use apps like Milanote to plan out their shots and even sketch out storyboards. I've seen them do that on videos here on YouTube. I ain't there because I ain't got the time. But what I do have and kind of keep in my back pocket is my Pinterest account. I do have a board for film and photography inspiration where I'll save kind of shots, cinematic shots that I'll find scrolling through Pinterest that I find inspiring, beautiful, moving and whatnot, and perhaps can serve as kind of a baseline or a guide for shots that I want to capture in my video. If you ever Pinterest or Google for, like, for example, the most Instagrammable spots in whatever city it is that you're visiting, that's essentially what I'm doing as well. You know, if I'm traveling to London, which I'll be going to in a few weeks and super excited about, I've already researched all the places that I want to see, and then if I can find it, still shots on Pinterest or Google that kind of inspire me to incorporate something like that into my YouTube, or, you know, find a special way to kind of capture B-roll. I already kind of have that in the back of my mind. If you guys don't know what B-roll is, B-roll just helps to enhance kind of this storytelling aspect of your video, and also serves to provide some context and and can be something visually pleasing, kind of like filler footage, if you will, for viewers to enjoy when you're not actually speaking directly to the camera, as I am at this moment. Now, in trying to kind of improve my videography skills, I learned, by watching other people on YouTube, a simple cinematic sequence that might help you plan out your shot. So I'm gonna give you an example now. Okay, now I'm gonna discuss a little bit of my process, kind of like when I'm out there on the field, getting ready to film. And this is something that I picked up watching other YouTubers, like cinematographers as well, and learning a little bit about their process of filming. So this is called the 9-shot rule. It's essentially 2 establishing shots, 2 wide shots, 2 medium shots, 2 close-up shots, and then 1 unique shot. That makes up the 9-shot rule. And this can be used to capture different B-roll, kind of a cinematic sequence, or it can be applied, and what I use it for, to kind of default when I'm stuck and I'm just not sure, what to film. Now, I've actually condensed this 9-shot rule into kind of a rule of 3, with a bonus. So the first one being the establishing shot or the wide shot, 1 shot that's kind of like a medium frame, a close-up shot, and then as an option or a bonus, a shot that kind of provides like a unique vantage point. And this mainly, for the 3-shot rule, I mainly condensed it because when you're on the go, you really don't have time sometimes to just do 9 different shots. It takes time, and you still want to be able to enjoy your trip and not make it too inauthentic and too curated. So I thought 3 shots with a bonus of a unique shot, if you can get it, was a lot more manageable when you're out there. So let's say you're visiting a park, right? To use the condensed shot, the 3-shot rule that I'm discussing here, perhaps the first shot that you'll plan is like a wide / establishing shot, so the viewers can see and get a sense of where you even are, giving context to the scene. Then you might want to capture like a tighter medium shot where you walk into the scene. So now the viewers see you as kind of like the main focal point. And of course, especially if you're traveling alone, you're gonna need a nice little tripod like I'm recording on today to get a lot of these shots. Okay, so then after you get your medium shot, now maybe you're showing a close-up shot of a flower to kind of express, to your audience, hey, it's spring and the flowers are blooming. And then lastly, as an option, you'll maybe want to incorporate a shot like from a unique vantage point. So like, let's say you have a drone. I will typically fly my drone up so that I can, and that can also be used as an establishing shot as well. But it's a different type of frame, unique shot that is visually stimulating and generally interesting to the audience, right? So that can be your unique shot. It doesn't necessarily have to be in any kind of certain order, but this 3-shot rule, is a nice reference point to kind of help guide your creativity when you're out there shooting, and perhaps you're not sure exactly what it is to shoot or how to shoot. And because you planned, because we've all planned, you already kind of have a sense of what shots it is that you want to capture, so you're ready to go. You're not wasting any time because we're full-time workers. We got a 1, 2, 3, check off these shots and keep it moving, right? So next, what I do is, now that I've done my research and I have an idea of things I want to shoot, I will write it down into what I call, and what I think most cinematographers will call, your shot list. And I'll add this kind of into this script template that I've created, and that is what we'll discuss next. But before I do, I also do want to mention 2 tips that I've learned. Film and photography, they've have kind of these rules to kind of create kind of these balanced, eye-catching photos and frames and different compositions when taking your pictures or you're filming a scene. You may have heard of it. It's called the rule of thirds, which is, in photography and cinematography, this composition guideline that involves dividing your image into 9 equal parts, kind of using this grid of horizontal and vertical lines. And what you do is you'll place your main subject or your focal point, place them at one of the intersection of one of these lines. Again, I don't always follow this rule, but I find that it can be helpful, and it does allow to make the image seem more pleasing to the eye and give you a more cinematic look visually. And lastly, sometimes it's just impossible to get the shots that you want for your video. Again, because you're on the go and you're just going with the flow. So for those impossible scenarios, I often use StoryBlocks, which is another platform, and I use it to search for a lot of different filler scenes and B-roll that are out there that are royalty-free, copyright-free, that you can use if you're subscribed to StoryBlocks. There are other platforms as well who offer these kinds of services or licenses to use licensed or royalty-free footage, music, etc. It's not cheap. It's not the cheapest subscription, but if you want to kind of elevate your YouTube channel, I do feel like overall it helps with the production quality of my videos, especially if I feel like I'm in Paris and like I just want to see a drone shot of the Eiffel and you can't fly drones there. You know, it's likely on StoryBlocks. So that is really helpful for me when filming. If you guys are interested, I will put all the links of the platforms that I've mentioned in this video in the description below, and calling out, you know, kind of the websites that we've discussed, Canva, Headline, etc. All these things that I use regularly to help with the production of my videos. Now, let's talk about scripting, which is the meat and potatoes of the video, right? It's that chunk of the iceberg that lives beneath the waterline and involves, but is not limited to, kind of organizing the theme of your video, any thoughts, writing out what it is that you want to say, jotting down scenes that you want to capture, etc., etc. And it's helpful to me because, especially when I film a more structured video, I use a script as my outline. I use it when I need to plan out what shots that I want to take, if I need to write out a literal monologue like I'm doing now, because sometimes I get nervous on camera and I don't want to forget to share what it is that I want, that I want you guys to know. I'll write it in there, or I use it to kind of write down my monologue when I want to do a voiceover for a different scene in my video. And it usually keeps me on track so that I, again, don't forget to film something that I want or that I feel like will make my video complete and a compelling story. So this template I created and is based on examples that I've seen other larger creators use and share kind of on their platform, which I found really helpful and started incorporating in my videos, like Johnny Harris, for example, who is this young journalist, storyteller, like millions of subscribers, and is just an incredible content creator. He has really found a formula that works for his style of content, and that is also my goal. And my script is kind of my way of creating a system that is organized and efficient, because between my full-time job and other responsibilities that I have, I don't have time to waste, right? To just be playing around, pressing record, and not sure what it is that I'm gonna tell you guys. So if I can, for a video theme, if it calls for it, I will literally script out at each and every scene that I plan to shoot or talk about, and sometimes exactly what it is that I wanna say, like I'm doing for this video, right? I have all my notes kind of here on the side and I'm going through them. I do this for one, because again, I don't want to forget to mention something that it is that I want to share, just because I'm speaking on the fly. And secondly, I still get pretty nervous talking to the camera, especially head on like this, even though I'm in a room by myself, feels really silly. But being prepared, kind of like with a script or lines or bullet points to help keep me organized, also in a way eases my anxiety and makes me feel more confident about the discussion that I'm giving on camera. Also, when I'm traveling, it's kind of weird to talk to yourself on a camera in front of strangers that you don't know. So I've been incorporating a lot more voiceovers into my travel videos and other content that I do for Instagram. It's succinct commentary, and it allows me to forego any embarrassment that I might feel in public filming myself with a camera, because it's weird. It is weird. Over time, little by little, I've invested in microphones and lapel mics, I know for beginners, we may not have all the gadgets that the professionals use. I still definitely have a very large wish list. I want to get a new camera, gimbal. My editor tells me my footage sometimes is really shaky, you know, but I'm doing the best that I can and just kind of working with what I got. And more importantly than having good gear is having a compelling video, you know, a good high quality storytelling. That might keep your viewer around more so than what kind of expensive camera that it is that you're using to film yourself, right? Although I will caution you, again, if your quality sucks, especially audio, people might slide into your comments and let you know. So just be mindful of that, you know, that any kind of little irritation, especially when it comes with audio or shakiness, might diminish, you know, the viewer's experience watching your video enough so that they will just click right away. Even if you do have a good video and you're talking about something substantive and interesting to the viewer, if they're distracted, they might just click away. So that's over time when you're building and growing your channel. So even if you're recording on your iPhone, maybe even connect your headphones to kind of help improve your audio quality a little bit. Various little elements kind of will help kind of focus your viewer a little bit more. And as your channel improves, you'll start building up kind of this arsenal of different gadgets like I've done over the years and still have a wish list of things that I want to incorporate into my camera gear kit. But first and foremost, I would suggest you working on your storytelling above all else when starting out, because some people might forgive you if your audio sucks, but they definitely won't stick around if you have a crappy storytelling production in your video overall. All right, so now we have our idea, we've done our research, the script is written out, the shot list is planned, we are ready. It's time for the fun part, to go out and start shooting, right? I'll also note the benefit of planning your shot list is that it helps to ensure that when you go out there, you have all of the different tech gadgets that you'll need, different camera equipment, tripod, lapel mic, etc., because it is not fun to go out, you know, you're going to film at a park or whatever, and then you realize, oh, my camera battery is dead. Like, it kind of helps you kind of check off all the boxes to make sure that you're ready to go, because we don't have time to waste, right? Our time is precious and limited here. And recall the rule of three, the three-shot rule that I talked about earlier. Because you're hoping to get a wide, mid, and close-up shot, you'll likely be shooting that same scene over and over again at varying distances, right? Varying focal points. And you will feel silly. It takes some time getting used to because it's weird. You're filming the same shot 3 times, just at different focal points. But you will feel better when you get ready to piece it together into a sequence, and you will be very happy that you did it. So also keep in mind generally that these days, you know, people's attention spans don't last but 5 to 7 seconds max. So if you're shooting long drawn out scenes, with the exception of like maybe a talking head video like we're doing today, you'll probably find that people will get bored. And so the 3-shot rule kind of helps keep the scene interesting by adding that little bit of texture and dimension to keep people engaged. Now, I'm really guilty of this. You know, my editor will often tell me, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and rightfully so, he will scold me and say that a lot of my films are too long, and then he has to go in and cut it. And I understand him when he does, and he's right. And that's one of the reasons why he's a fantastic editor, and he helps to kind of refine my videos. And I keep him on my shoulder in spirit when I'm out there on the field filming, saying, Sade, unless it is intentional, an intentional shot, and purposeful for the video, relax, don't overdo it. And speaking of my editor, this brings me to our next topic of discussion. The main benefit of planning is that it saves time for post-production. Because you have all of your shots planned, you know exactly what it is that you want to edit, and the sequence of the clips that you want to mashed together. Prior to even stepping onto the scene, your story, for the most part, has already been developed. No need to do so much editing magic in post because your video is already interesting because we've already thought it through, and hopefully you've done the research, whether or not this is something that your audience would be interested in, and how the package will come out at the final product, right? Also, I've recorded a lot of voiceovers ahead of time because I know that I'm gonna be filming out there. So depending on the length of my voiceover, I wanna make sure that I've captured enough film when I'm out there. So that's kind of my thought process with recording my voiceovers first if I can. Oh, and by the way, I also just use like the voice memo app in my phone and on my desktop to kind of record my voiceover. So I don't use any kind of fancy tech for that. And I feel like it works fine. I'm sure there are better platforms to use, but that's the free one that I've been using and I haven't had any issues, thankfully. And lastly, on this topic of, the benefit of preparedness, if you edit your own videos, you will thank yourself for being organized in post-production, because one of the reasons why I tried to, take YouTube seriously back 2018 and 19, I gave up because the editing process is very tedious and difficult. I bow down to my editor because he does such a fantastic job cutting through so many different clips of shots and making it something that's worthwhile, watching. Back then I was editing my videos on iMovie on my Apple laptop, and I had no clue what I was doing. It would take me sometimes 4 days or more just to edit like a 20-minute video. Never again. I'm never doing that shit again. No ma'am. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I have an editor that helps me with the post-production aspect of my videos. Y'all, I just want to shout out my editor. I know you're watching. My editor is amazing. He really is incredibly skilled at Adobe, Final Cut Pro, After Effects, you name it. All of those editing platforms that you use to make an incredible, fun, interesting video, he is an expert at all of them. And I just don't have time, nor do I have the passion to want to learn them all. So one day I was watching a video of another very popular content creator whose niche is really about maximizing productivity. And in his video, he was talking about this platform called Fiverr, where you can hire, amongst other things, a video editor to edit all of your videos and they even create like a YouTube intro and outro for you if you want. I think they can even create resumes, they do everything. You're basically outsourcing these kinds of works. And it kind of blew my mind. What? Why? Had I known about this, platform years ago, I likely wouldn't have taken the hiatus, that I did when I first started making YouTube videos back in 2018 until March of 2024 this year. Again, I just lost motivation because I found it extremely difficult to find the time to do it all without diminishing the quality of the content that I was putting out there and kind of half-assing it, because even though I love being behind the camera, I don't know what I'm doing, in post-production, right? So, and I just didn't have time to create, something of quality that I would feel proud of. And so I quit. I quit YouTube for a while, or took a break. And then I realized that, making these videos was kind of my unicorn space. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later, what that means. But first I want to stress, and of course, you can obviously edit these videos on your own. I get that there is a financial obligation to outsourcing this kind of work. But in my view, YouTube is something that kind of fulfills my creative need at this time. And so I choose to I look at it as an investment into myself. So to stress this point, if you are a new creator and you're still working full-time and perhaps are not interested in learning, the different editing platforms like Final Cut Pro, Adobe Pro, iMovie, etc., CapCut, there are so many. Consider outsourcing your editing. Not only will it save you so much time, but it will also save you the stress. Trust me, I'm very lucky that I feel like the stars aligned, that the first editor that I reached out to on the platform was my incredible editor. And I've worked with him for these past 6-7 months. He's super talented and I'm so grateful for his services. I tell him all the time because I know it's not an easy job what he does. And I know it took a lot of time to kind of build up his skill in learning these different editing platforms. And what I do is I hand over my script and my footage, and then he takes it away and turns it into something really special. So if you're looking for an editor, I will drop the link to my editor, his Fiverr page, down in the description below. Trust me, if you do not have time for my full-time workers, you will not regret this. Outsource that shit. So remember how I told you earlier that sometimes I find inspiration in books that I've read? Well, I couldn't think of a better way to kind of round out the message of this vlog than with a book I've recently read called Unicorn Space, authored by Eve Rodsky. Y'all, let me tell you, when I got to the final chapter of this book, I was so sad. Happy but sad, right? Because the book was so good. Like, I felt like I could read it forever. And let me explain, I don't want you to click away just yet because I feel like this last bit of message of this vlog will probably be the most important that I will share with you amongst everything we discussed already. So quickly, the definition of unicorn space is the active pursuit of creative self-expression, doing the thing that makes you uniquely you. It is the importance of creating spaces where you feel connected to and that give you permission to kind of experiment and to further create. Once you identify this curiosity that you want to actively pursue, which is your what, and how far you want to take it, along with the intrinsic motivation of getting there, your why, then determine how and in what type of environment you want to share it, which is your where. And if you're here, it's likely because we've chosen YouTube as our unicorn space. So the book says that sharing your creativity is not about living your life through Instagram stories. It's not about counting how many followers you have or competing with others or engaging in activities that, just are for external praise or just bragging rights, right? Purposeful sharing is intrinsically motivated. To make it on YouTube is very difficult, or can be very difficult, I'd say, for most people. But it is not impossible. Go back and watch the first few videos of like your favorite content creators, YouTubers. They likely suck, like mine. They're shitty, they ain't good. No shade to myself and to all those other YouTubers. Everybody sucks when we start something new. I mean, I look at mine and like I said, I cringe. But their story, and I hope that my story, will also be a testament to never giving up and for always striving to be better, whatever it is that you decide to do. And that drive comes from your why. Why the hell do we want to do this? And the book says, you extend yourself outward because it's inherently satisfying and meaningful to you, right? And by sharing this special piece of yourself, those people who watch and experience and learn will receive the benefit in some kind of way. And you can learn a lot about putting yourself out there. We all know, right? And like I said, everyone sucks, when we're starting out. So the tips that I've shared in this video, I've learned them from other YouTubers who have, again, really perfected their formula and a system for content creating, sauced with a little bit of their own unique flavor, that flavor being you, your special, unique being. Now that I've shared all of these tips with you, I want to leave you kind of with this. Leave this on the back burner for now and just focus on the author's advice, right? She encourages people to just go out there and just do it. If you've been thinking about doing a YouTube, stop overthinking it. Like Nike's motto, just do it. It's that simple. Cliche, but that's what it is. You know, and then definitely be mindful of who you're talking about when you're talking about your passions. Don't take direction from people who have never been where it is that you're trying to go, because people will rain on your parade. Her next piece of advice is don't just make one thing, make 100 of that thing. When you watch other similar videos of this type of topic, you'll also hear other content creators say they probably didn't find success until they made their 100th video. You have to keep creating a series and learn each and every time as you go, right? Learn from the last video and put in that next thing that you learned into the next video. Now, once you've gotten over that fear of just kind of going for it, I recommend that you kind of stay in that student era. Watch all different kinds of videos and think about what it is that you're inspired by or entertained by, and use that to kind of build upon and tailor the videos in your unique style. I know I'm also still kind of on this journey myself, and what I've learned is that making it perfect is not as important as just doing it and completing it, right? I'll end on this final piece because I know this video has gotten really long. But my motto since I even started back in 2018 for my YouTube video is, and I read this quote somewhere, it might have been Pinterest, who knows? But the purpose of life is to find your gift, and the meaning of life is to give it away. So paraphrasing the book, The Unicorn Space, it's important to find your gift and then find a place or a space in the world that kind of appreciates your natural gift. It's finding that match, if you will, between what you can offer and what the world needs right now. Whether it be how-to videos like this one, or just a video for pure fun and escapism, because I love those as well. You know, a lot of shit going on in the world. Sometimes I just want to detach from all of that, right? But everyone is special. Everyone is unique and has something to offer the world. Yes, talking to you. And I firmly believe that it is up to you and to me and all of us to find our gifts and then give it away. All right, now that I've gone on for an hour, I want to thank you guys so much for sticking around this entire time. If you have, you're a fucking rock star. I give you a round of applause. Because this is a long video to sit through, but I truly hope that you've enjoyed it and found it helpful. And I'm wishing you all lots of peace and love, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.